Hello, friends, and welcome to the most glorious of events, the Movie Mavericks podcast. This outstanding program is hosted by two fine gentlemen, Jason and Trevor. Now make it so.
MovieMavericks.com.
Hey, now everybody, welcome to episode 406 of the Movie Mavericks podcast. This is over Jason Rugard. He's got a rundown, maybe?
Got a bit of a walking situation, maybe not a rundown
a
for you.
walkabout?
A spirited session of walking. We'll be talking about some Oscar contenders here, specifically Anora, Wicked, The Substance. Also going to be looking at some past films that Trevor and I have been digging deep into the vaults. We're going to talk about some good, the bad, and the indifferent of the older stuff, along with the trailers for the new Final Destination, the new film with Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler, as well as the Fantastic Four, which is causing quite a stir online, and the new Jurassic Park, which you probably saw some of these trailers or at least snippets of it during the big game, which was the Super Bowl just yesterday as we record this. Did you get a chance to see these commercials during the big game, or did you watch these all after the fact online?
I watched them before,
Oh.
and I didn't pay much attention on Super Bowl. I did see that Marvel one.
The Thunderbolts?
Yeah, thank you. Which seemed almost like a fake movie. Seemed like, hey, we're still doing these Marvel movies, guys. Okay, cool. What the fuck is this? Is this supposed to be like a Sinister Six or like Suicide Squad?
Did you get any positive response when you were watching the people that you were around when these trailers
Nobody
came
paid
on during the
attention to
game?
shit. Aside from the game,
Yeah.
nobody cared. And I got to say, the commercials were underwhelming at best this year. Yeah, it was almost not, I don't know, were people too afraid to do anything this year, maybe? Kind of felt that way a little bit. I mean, there were some weird ones still.
Well, in terms of the trailers, you're talking about $8 million for a 30-second spot, and when you have something like Mission Impossible, which is running its trailer, and really, what kind of translation to dollars and into tickets sold is that really? Because like you said, nobody's even paying attention for the most part.
I don't know. That was kind of an underwhelming trailer as well, to be honest with you. It just felt like, at this point, we've seen this. Like, we've seen all the hands that they have to play, and so I don't know. I feel like it's time to go back to basics for all this stuff and to just forget where you are now, forget trying to go into the future, forget trying to one-up yourself because it's not going to happen.
Well, I think that this movie, or at least the trailer for Mission Impossible, the new one, the teaser that they showed yesterday during the big game spot, was the most unmemorable out of the trailers that I saw. And I like that franchise, and I want to really like that movie.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'll save my judgment for the movie, but the trailer is oddly underwhelming, especially for how many fantastic shots are comprised in it. It just does not play well in a 30-second spot, I don't think. Let's do a little trivia. What do you got for me tonight to test the old noggin?
We got, for which of these films did Laurence Olivier receive his only acting Oscar? I wonder if we did this one already. I guess not. Hamlet, Marathon Man, Rebecca, or The Boys from Brazil?
I'm going to go Marathon Man. Mm-hmm. It was late in his career.
Nope, it was Hamlet.
That wasn't even that late in his career. I thought it was like a late stage Oscar type situation. All right, let me get another one. I mean, fucking Olivier, I'm not even that big of a fan. I'm not a fan at all, actually. I can't tell you one Olivier film I like, except for maybe Clash of the Titans.
What do Ben Healy and his father, Big Ben, sell for a living in the 1990 comedy Problem Child? Produce, automobiles, life insurance, or sporting goods?
Wow.
I haven't
sporting
seen,
goods?
You think? All right. Yes, it is.
Okay.
I haven't seen Problem
so.
Child in forever.
Why did I think for a
Problem
second
Child
he was...
2.
I thought he sold appliances for a second.
I don't remember at all.
If that had been one of the answers, I would have guessed appliances, because I think that from the trailer, he's like in a fucking laundry machine, maybe?
Yeah.
Or the poster?
Yeah, there's the kid like wreaks havoc with the laundry machine, right?
Okay, yeah.
I remember that from the movie, and I think that is in the poster.
Did you read that Luca Guadagnino? I can never say this guy's name. The guy who does Challengers and What's Your Name and Kiss Me By Your Name. Or what the fuck is that Call Me By Your Name movie? He is going to tackle some unproduced, long-lost screenplay that Kubrick was apparently his passion project. Did you hear about this?
No. I don't even know what that would be.
Why? first of all, how did this guy get the pass into Hollywood? He's done nothing yet that signifies that he can actually make a film that's worth watching. Second of all, what the fuck, man? Didn't we go down this road with Spielberg and AI when he did artificial intelligence back in 2001, and it was a lost script that Kubrick couldn't get off the project?
Yep.
And didn't Ridley Scott kind of go down this with Napoleon when that was going to be the lost project that Kubrick couldn't get off the ground, and now it's the third project? I mean, how many projects was Kubrick working on simultaneously when he passed away? And why are we still guided by the ghost of Kubrick? Isn't cinema long past where any of his sensibilities would have even been in vogue? I can't imagine anything that he was writing or working on 50 years ago is going to be what anybody would want to see today. And if it is, it's going to be transmuted and remade and updated.
You'd have to change it so much. It would no longer have that Kubrick appeal, right? It would no longer have his essence in it.
We were talking off air about The Brutalist, and we've heard, neither of us have seen it as of this recording. Both plan on seeing it before Oscars, but we've heard varying things. I mean, extremist things here. Nobody's halfway in the middle. It's going to be either love it or hate it.
Yeah.
The Kubrick movies, the fan club, all that kind of stuff, they seem, or is reminiscent to me of The Brutalist, where you have to want to like these movies in a lot of ways. Let's say Eyes Wide Shut, for instance. I think people that say that they like Eyes Wide Shut are trying to like Eyes Wide Shut. People that like AI are trying to like AI, the film.
I don't know so much about those two. I think those two are a little more easier to digest for normal people. And I think people would like Eyes Wide Shut without being film people because of the atmosphere of it. Much like The Shining, I think, is the same thing. But you can go deeper to it, right? You can certainly find film people that like both those things if they go deeper into that. But those are movies that you're going to find, I think, have a little bit of a wider net versus some of the other Kubrick stuff, which they're just not, right? I'm drawing a complete blank on Kubrick movies.
Barry Lyndon.
There you go. There's one, right? That's going to be very specific to film people are going to like that. That's not going to cast a very wide net. And I think AI is probably the same way. You know, even though I don't think normal people, I think AI was rejected pretty much across the board. It's not a very good narrative, really.
You know what my issue with that movie is, too, is that it came on the heels and too closely behind Bicentennial Man, which was very similar in a lot of ways.
I mean, I guess not really. It's a completely different movie, but you're right. It was the warring robot movies, I guess, which is what Hollywood always does, right? Someone's going to make a movie and you wind up with three of the same, in essence, the same type of film.
Well, usually when that happens, you get one out of the two or three that's good. In that case,
I can't
both
think of
of them
any
sucked.
of them. Yeah. Trying to think right now. I think those were the only two. There wasn't another robot movie at that time, was there?
No, but I mean, like the competing asteroid movies, the volcano movies.
Of course, you wind up with
one or two is the good one.
One or two. Although with the asteroid ones, I don't know. Some of the stuff you come to realize is okay nowadays, I guess.
What's that? Deep Impact?
Yeah.
Volcano?
Well,
I mean, are you a Volcano or Dante's Peak person?
Dante's Peak for sure.
You have to
be.
Yeah,
Volcano is okay.
It's okay.
But it's okay. But I actually think the Deep Impact is pretty good. And so's the Core, actually. The Core is pretty good, too.
Deep Impact is surprisingly cynical.
It is.
The fucking asteroid hits. I mean,
yeah, they all
things
die.
Don't really work out too well.
Yeah. So I like both of those movies. But obviously, you know, you have the clear winner in Armageddon, right?
Well, let's stop mincing words. Let me ask you the real question here. Hard Rain or Firestorm? Come on. I'm asking him, audience members, if you're not familiar, I'm asking him to choose between a Christian Slater action film or a Howie Long action film.
I mean, the problem is, why...
Is there a problem?
Kind of, because they're both awful. I would have to pick Hard Rain, I guess.
Because it's slightly more professionally done.
That's what I was thinking. That's more of a big budget film than Firestorm, but they're both, neither of them are good.
No, this is when we had that late 90s, like the action genre just fucking died all of a sudden,
that was,
you know?
No, well, I mean, Hard Rain came, off because of Broken Arrow, right?
Right, yeah, same studio.
Well, it was
Paramount.
Writing off of that, though, with that Christian Slater, you know, the action movie comeback, and then of John Travolta as well.
And Broken Arrow had Howie Long as well, so that was what catapulted him. Yeah. And this was going to be his big starring feature. And I had, for some, I worked at the video store when both those movies came out, and we had the Firestarter poster up in my garage as kind of a goof, because Howie Long looks like dumbstruck on the fucking one sheet. It's not a very good image of him.
It's a terrible VHS of that movie too. That the artwork for that movie is not good. Why'd you say it's a cheap looking movie? The movie's cheap looking too. Hard Rain has much bigger set pieces, I guess, to it.
For sure.
But it's still awful.
And both were directed by cinematographers directing him. The guy who did Hard Rain was the cinematographer for, is it Mikhail Solomon, for Cameron on a couple things. And then our boy Dean Semler, who shot multiple things, including Waterworld and Dances with Wolves, was directing Firestorm. So interesting that these were kind of like low-key projects that they just gave to DPs wanting to do some directing. And here you go, get in the DGA and move along.
I don't know. I guess they didn't take very big bets on those, I guess.
I think we've discussed these movies for longer than they've lasted in people's memories for the most part.
Well, Hard Rain was supposed to be really big, right? And was supposed to be really good, so it tanked pretty hard. I mean, it had really bad word of mouth. Deservedly
it also premiered. We went and saw it in the theater because it was supposed to be, the big movie. But I remember getting crushed because Titanic was still out, and it was just the movie of the time, and it was still going and crushing the box office. And this just got
a better watch,
rolled over.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it was a wet kind of movie, if you will.
Yeah, it's almost the same thing, right?
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of one another.
It doesn't have Morgan Freeman's in Hard Rain, is he not? That's that movie, right?
That's what cracks me up. My fiance said one time that Morgan Freeman has never been in a bad movie, and I immediately said, "Have you ever seen Hard Rain?"
100%. He's been in terrible movies. He's been in too many movies not to be in bad shit.
But the first thing that came to mind was Hard Rain. Which she had not seen. So I said, well, that's why you think he's never been in a bad movie. So, all right, let's talk about some newer stuff here and a lot of older stuff, because Trevor and I have been digging through the bowels of cinema to see what we like, what we don't like, and revisiting a lot of things lately. First of all, I want to talk to you about Wicked. Do you plan on seeing Wicked ever?
I've seen the first, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that.
And?
Oh no, that's it. That's all I'm watching.
Okay, so
I didn't think it was very good. It didn't catch me. It didn't bring me in. There's music. It's money was spent, production value. I get it. I already know the story. I get the story, and I'm kind of good. I don't need to see it.
I surprisingly enjoyed it. I did not think I was going to enjoy this. In fact, the press tour is a whole another subject, but getting that bad taste out of my mouth of their just overindulgent press tour, the movie itself, both of them are very good in it. The production design is as beautiful as, let's say, Barbie, as meticulous as that. The choreography is fantastic in it. And I was surprised that ultimately the story is really like a high school comedy or a college comedy. I mean, there's almost like a She's All That vibe to it, where there's a scene in the middle where it's like she comes to prom and she's made fun of, and she, I don't know what I was expecting, but I didn't expect it to be this playful, I guess would be the word. And for it being so long, I mean, I felt the length of it, and I thought they could have wrapped it up a little bit quicker, but I guess I'm more surprised at myself for having enjoyed it as much as I did. And I see now why it made what it made and why it's getting the accolades that it did. And the humor worked for me for the most part. And I think that both of the leads are very good. And I have no problem with them being nominated in their categories this year. So a bit of a surprise for me, at least.
I mean, I don't know. I would have bet that a lot of people really like that movie, and not just girls. Obviously, it's mostly targeted at the female audience, but men like that movie too. It's a relatively open story. Like, I think it works for everyone. It's not just a female story. So I don't know.
It reminds me a lot of Barbie in the sense that it can be watched by whoever.
Like Mean Girls is a favorite of mine, and that would be a similar-esque type of story to what this is. So any of that, like you say, high school type stuff, But that's what this is, right? This is for stage people. What do you call I don't know, theater brats,
Drama nerds.
Drama nerds.
Drama nerds.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's very theatrical, and I don't mind that about it.
Yeah,
and
right.
I didn't see the stage play. I didn't read the book, so I didn't have a lot of familiarity with the story outside of the Wizard of Oz
just
and its
read
source material.
about it, so I know all about it, and I saw Chris Gore talked all about it and how much he loved it and all that. So, all right.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Just not for me. I don't like musicals. I just don't like them. I can't do it.
I typically am hit and miss on them.
Yeah.
I think one of the most awkward things to watch on screen is two people singing in each other's faces. It bothers my personal space.
It stops the progression of the story too much for me. I get really bored with it. Like the last Willy Wonka movie was just awful. But then I like the original Willy Wonka. When I like a musical, I'll really like it. But for the most part, I get super bored with them real fast.
It reminds me of if there is, again, the singing portion, like you said, Wonka, when it just stops for them to have a 4-minute musical interlude that does nothing. That to me reminds me of like when I'm watching a superhero movie and we know for the next 5 minutes that we're just going to watch some fighting or some CGI
Same
bullshit
thing,
that's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
So it's time filler once again. So I understand what you're saying there. Although I have not seen Better Man yet, which apparently is the best fucking musical ever made. I mean, that's all I've come hearing from people.
I'm refusing to watch it.
Really, you're striking against it?
I don't. No more. People telling me that this is a great movie. No grassroots campaigns for me. No. They tried to sell me too hard on it, and now I refuse.
Did we talk about The Substance last week?
I don't know. At one point, I think I talked about it.
I know you were pretty
Feel free to
down
talk
on
about it. You love it.
I don't love... Okay. I got to be honest here. I got caught up in this movie, and up until the last 20 minutes, I was going with this.
Huh.
I don't know what I was really expecting out of this, but as it played out... Look, I don't like the way that they're portraying the men in the movie. I got to be honest. They're all fucking buffoons. They're literally... at one scene running off like morons,
yes.
like
backstage or whatever. Where
I hated that sequence.
It's nonsense.
I hated the Dennis Quaid sequence. I hated that he was named Harvey. It was too on the nose.
Yeah.
Outside of that, you want to talk about a Kubrickian look? I mean, the visual aesthetic of this movie with the hallways and that day glow,
all
or
the whites
Formica
and stuff,
type, all that stuff. The starkness of some images, the depth of field of some images is extremely well done. I've never thought that Margaret Qualley was a particularly attractive actress, but in this movie, I'll tell you that
she
they definitely did their
this.
job. And so does Demi Moore. In that, this is the thing about the movie that's very interesting to me. In that opening sequence when they're showing Demi Moore doing the working out for her show, you go, God, she looks great for her age. And then you immediately forget that as the movie's going on, and then you're reminded again at the end when she pulls that picture of herself out that she was fine to begin with. And I thought, even the younger version of herself wanted a better version of herself. And this whole cycle of the perpetual embetterment and all that, the movie, it got to me. I just thought the last 20 minutes, if they had ended the film with the confrontation, I don't want to give too much away for people that haven't seen it, but you know what I'm talking about, the major confrontation that they have, the physical confrontation.
You didn't like the body horror at the end is what you're saying.
I liked the goblin finger. I liked the knee cracking
but it goes
when she had
body
to stand
horror
up.
at the end of this movie.
But I don't care about the body horror. I care about that it loses its look. It's definitely already existing in an odd reality. But when this person goes through the security, gets put on television. I mean, come on,
with the
nobody
mask
is
stapled to its face. Cut out the eyeballs.
Look, if you had cut it when she put the mask on from that moment, I think it's a stronger film. But I've still at this point. I got to be honest, out of the 6 out of the 10 Best Picture nominees that I've seen at the moment, this is my favorite that I've seen.
Okay. I mean, my only thing would be that I felt like the entire movie was basically that. What your complaint was at the end is my complaint with the entire movie. I thought the whole movie was like that, and it had no idea what it was actually trying to say, what it actually meant, or what it felt like it wanted to say something other than what it was saying. which is something, it's weird. I don't know why. Like, Poor Things had that same feeling to me. Like, as I watched, I just felt like this is not saying the thing it's trying to say, or is it? You know, and I could never. It's too hard to decipher it, I guess, to me. And I get the idea of it too. It's too long for the idea for what they actually did with it. It's just too long for the idea, right? Like, I get the idea. She takes the things and creates her. So I mean, once you get the basics of the plot down, the movie's just, it's over.
I mean, I think that there's a couple missed opportunities here. One is when the young version of her, or the Sue, is it Sue, and what was another girl's name? You remember the young girl's name was?
Well, Sue is the young girl, right?
Sue is the young girl, and is Elizabeth?
And Elizabeth
was the older
is,
girl?
Right, is
Demi Moore. Mm-hmm. So when the young girl has sex with the guy, I thought, oh shit, she's going to get pregnant. How do you handle that situation?
Okay, you just already made that way better fucking movie right there. If we had done something like that, yeah, that would have been awesome.
How do you handle that situation? You know, that's where I thought it was going, and I thought that was a missed opportunity when they didn't get it there, because now we're talking about a natural life born of the substance, and what does that mean, and who carries it?
The minute they say, like, oh, you have to switch back and forth, and you can't,
and you have to,
if you take like too much of this from her, like, you're gonna screw her up, you're gonna do all this stuff and that. Like, you knew where it was going, and even like they even had that they had to have that stupid moment where Demi Moore is like, oh, do I keep doing this? Oh yes, I guess I do, and you wonder why. Right? There's no godly reason for her actually to continue doing this at that point. There's just none. She gets nothing out of it. She herself gets nothing out of it. I don't understand why she would keep doing it. There's no motivation there for it, other than they just pretend like she's hooked on some drug thing. I mean,
the only thing I can think about is, you know, if you were, got to be 23 again,
but she doesn't. She doesn't get to be 23 again. She just gets to go to sleep. This is a different person, right? What's the motivation of that? You could let some other version of you that's not you be 23 again. Would you do it? And then, like, they're going to fuck you over all the time, and then you have a chance to stop it, but you just like, nah, I'll keep doing it. I mean, make it make sense to me. I don't understand.
Clearly, one of the themes was, you're better off where you started from, to not start fucking with any of this stuff to begin with.
Of course, but that's I think just a body horror in general, right? Where you've started down some road and there's no going back, right? But she has an opportunity to stop and doesn't, and I don't think this movie does a good job with motivations. Really, I personally don't understand why she can't just pivot her career. She can't go anywhere else. There's nobody else. There's nowhere else for her career at all. It makes no sense.
Right. Even online, a YouTube channel. I thought she was going to start something like
it
that
just
from the
doesn't.
house.
See, I don't buy the premise of this narrative in general. I just don't think this works for me.
Also, why the odd interlude with the former flame or former classmate in the date? That, or the non-event.
Well, isn't that
date?
just to introduce her to other people who are in her same predicament? Isn't that all that is to get her out of the house?
I also was a little questioning about how the neighbors didn't recognize that somebody was gone for a week, somebody else was there. I mean, like I said, there's a reality that this movie's existing in that you have to kind of go with.
I mean, no one was ever mean to her outright. No one told her. It was all in her head, which is great, but that's not what the movie is trying to tell you. And the movie is literally trying to, like, give you this sense that, like, Dennis Quaid and these men are horrible people, but the reality of it is they weren't. They didn't do anything to her at all. Like, they were happy.
Well, also,
they were fine with her when they left. They didn't make fun of her. They didn't do anything to her. They gave her a gift. They sent her on her way.
Well, she overheard some shit. That's not his fault. She was in the wrong restroom.
But it's just standard whatever, anything. It's just business stuff, and I get it, but she could go do something else. I don't understand. So,
why was the Amazon locker in the worst part of town? I didn't understand that. I thought that was going to have some sort of payoff later down the road too, but like a paparazzi would see her like in Skid Row, that she had to go through this.
See, that would have been another good thing. There could have been some sort of a, but as you say, the movie didn't approach any of this stuff. At the ending alone, it doesn't attempt to do any of that, right? It just puts her out there. She has her makeup on, I guess, right? And so she's fooling everyone, but somehow the mask falls off and then they realize she's an ugly beast. I don't get it. You couldn't tell otherwise?
like I said, for the movie runs about 140 minutes. For 2 hours of it, I was going with it, even though I had these questions and was hoping it was going certain other places. But I did respect the artistry. I guess that was on screen. I don't know. I got into it.
I got what you're saying,
and when it was done, I thought, okay, I can handle that, and I'm glad that somebody at least is doing something interesting.
I guess I in general didn't like the storytelling here. It has 2 openings and 2 endings, with a ridiculous bookend at the beginning and end of this. This is just unnecessary. But again, that goes into, this feels like something. There's so many of these movies that are getting made right now, in this A24, type of genre now, where everything feels just super hyper filmic, like as in like film school-ish. Everything has to have like some deep meaning, but it winds up not having any deep meaning.
Oh my God, that is my perfect segue. We are going to segue 100%. Everything you just said would apply to the next film, which is now apparently the front runner for the Best Picture, and that is Anora.
No,
or
really?
Abora. Trevor.
Because recently I was going to watch this. I sold my DVD of this that I had. I wasn't going to watch it, but then I made the mistake of watching the trailer, and it looked pretty good.
It's a good trailer.
Oh man!
But let me tell you what
Doesn't
this is.
translate. All right.
This is a film school student mimicking Paul Thomas Anderson, mimicking Robert Altman. This is scenes that go on way too fucking long with a pace that is lackadaisical, to say the least, and a lot of the Altman-esque talking over each other, lapping dialogue, not really knowing what the important part of the dialogue exchange is supposed to be, that you're supposed to pick it up to take it to the next scene. A lead character that is supposed to be, I don't know what you're supposed to feel for this person, but I wasn't feeling whatever this movie wanted me to feel for.
Girl? I mean, who's the lead? The girl, right?
The girl. And when this adventure, this kind of black comedy takes place, even though it's not amusing, and at the end of the story, you're left thinking, all of this, it took 140 minutes to get me to this point right here, when we could have cleared this up very quickly. It's not like these characters are, my biggest problem is that these characters are not necessarily in love. And then all of this is for naught. And then there's a final scene that's supposed to be shattering. It's laughable. I cannot believe this. Look, as it was going on, I thought, I had to look up on IMDb. I said, who edited this fucking movie? This thing needs to be trimmed. It's nominated for an Oscar. The director nominated it. The writing is so poor. I don't see the appeal. I liked some of Sean Baker's stuff. I liked Red Rocket. I liked The Florida Project. I didn't care for Tangerine and a couple of the other ones he's done. But this, to me, is his most unfinished work. It's not ready for release. I don't know. You want to talk about themes? What's your theme here? Is it erotic in some spots? Sure. There's some good screw scenes in the beginning, and everybody looks great on screen. However, it wears out its welcome I would imagine so quickly.
But your base theme would be fish out of water, right? Or she wanting something that you don't actually want.
No, she's as manipulative as this other person, and right. It's just they're both fucking annoying, and they're childish, and they're immature. So
they don't want. Where do they wind up at the end?
You have to. I'm not telling you, because if I tell you, it gives away everything that everyone's talking about. This shattering moment. The guy's nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Somebody dies.
She's up for Best Actress. Trevor, watch this movie and tell me if this isn't some Robert Altman type. Just nonsense. Like characters wandering around, kind of getting some shit done. Sure, this happens, but the consequence of this scene has no bearing on the next scene. It's almost like this didn't even fucking happen. It's like we're not building upon from scene to scene to scene here. We're just wandering into a story and then out of a story. And when it's all said and done, what have we gained from this? I cannot believe that this is right now the front runner for the Best Picture nomination. I mean, I was very surprised at this. I just did not care for the texture of this movie.
That's why the Oscars suck.
like I can see, I guess, why some people are finding things to like in this movie, but all of these accolades, picture, director, actress, writer, editing, all of these things, best supporting actor, get the fuck out of here. This is not, look, Soderbergh can do something like this much tighter, much clearer in his thematic, cinematic themes and whatnot. And I just think this is muddled.
How long is the movie?
140 minutes. It's as long as The Substance.
So that's too long. I feel too long for The Substance as well. It's too, people need to boil down what they're doing at this point. Enough with the high level weird thing. This doesn't even sound like it's high level. I don't even know what the hell this would be.
The Substance you could at least look at visually was interesting.
It's sure, but that it doesn't change. It's the same visuals for the whole time. So I disagree that that's a good argument for it would be that long. That's too long. I'm just saying,
visually, I could look at something on screen, whether it's a gyrating body in The Substance or a beautiful hallway.
Enough, it's still too long for that. It would need. I would need more different visuals if we're going to do that. Something. I don't know. Something more epic. It would feel like for something that would, for that length. I don't know. I need something of more substance. Just something, right?
I mean, who doesn't like a little titillation and all this kind of stuff? So I'm not a prude when it comes to these things. This reminds me of 30 years ago when my grandparents went to see Leaving Las Vegas when it was nominated for Best Picture. And I never see them that night. It is a great movie, right? And I'm 16. I hadn't seen it yet, but I planned on seeing it, but it wasn't my first choice at the time. And I asked them their review, and I'll never forget my grandfather going, "It was damn near a pornographic movie."
Well, it kind of was.
I mean, but at the time,
that's a rough one too. Rape and
more
rape
and the alcoholism, drinking in the shower. I mean, the whole fucking thing.
She technically rapes him.
But what I'm saying is that when I'm watching Anora, I'm thinking almost the same thing here. Is like, okay, all I'm seeing here though is just nudity. I mean, you made your point with what we're doing here in the first scene. I thought the first shot, while kind of shocking, was beautiful, and I was like, okay, this is setting the stage for something.
She's a sex worker, right? That's the thing.
Well, she's a stripper / sex worker, and gets involved with this son of an oligarch,
a Russian guy, rich kid.
Is that the movie? I don't know what the movie's about, if you really ask me.
Well, it almost looked like a Romeo and Juliet type thing,
but it's not.
But it's not. You say. I mean, that's what it seemed like in the trailer a little bit. But
well.
All right.
Outside of the first act, she barely spends any time with
maybe
this kid,
I'll watch it. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Maybe I'll get around to it. That's how I felt about it from the get-go.
It's just
I just thought the trailer was really good.
So did I. And I thought that the look of this, but as I'm watching it, I think I was even texting you and saying, this reminds me, once again, of a thesis project, a film school thesis project, a really good, masterclass thesis project. And you watch it and go, it's indulgent. It's messy. It's all over the place. And it doesn't have to be tidy. I know that whole thing is that messy's a good. Okay, I saw Megalopolis. Messy's not good.
Messy can be good, but messy is a trick in that you think it's messy, but it actually isn't.
I call Fight Club messy.
It is, but it's a trick. To me is, again, it's not messy. It just it appears that way, and that's fine. And even there are plenty of movies where they do have unconnected things, but they'll build character within that time. Like you'll get to know someone or something, and so there'll be a built-in motivation later on somehow, even though it seems disconnected.
Couldn't find that here.
Might not be here, but so.
All right, let's move on. We talked about the Oscar baits. Let's talk about some older stuff that we've watched here. Give me a couple older movies
we're gonna bait
that you've been baiting.
Well, look, I'll just go right off the bat here. Fist of the North Star, Gary Daniels. Like, let's get crazy here.
I mean, you're talking about the Tony Randall direct-to-DVD 1996 one?
I mean, you say DVD, but this is straight to VHS. Yes, and I watched the VHS version of this. This was a movie I remember liking very much, especially, they had the anime. I never read the manga or whatever, but this movie, I don't even understand the fucking movie, and I've seen it recently. It's great looking. It feels like it's a movie I should like because it's very like post-apocalyptic, very weird. But this movie has no plot. It doesn't explain it just starts and he's like fucking kung fu shit. And you're like, well, what's the fucking setting? What is happening? And it never tells you. Like, you're just supposed to know.
Why can he explode people's heads doing his little finger trick?
I don't fucking know. I still don't understand the movie. He goes and he fights people, and I'm like, why are you fighting this dude?
It's got some decent special effects too. It has the exploding head, the finger that goes through the chest.
It has great sets. It has great costuming. It very much looks like a post-apocalyptic. Like you get the feel for this movie right away. You know exactly what it is. You just don't understand the fucking plot.
It's so funny you say that though, because I always felt the same thing where I should love this movie. It's got Gary Daniels. It's, like I said, post-apocalyptic. It's got some cool fighting and makeup and special effects here. And you watch it and you go, I think Double Dragon made more sense than this movie. I could follow that storyline better than what's going on here. And I always wondered, was it chopped up? Do you think there was a longer cut? And this was, for some reason.
Yeah, I know. If there's a longer cut, there's a lot left on the floor that should have been in this movie, at least at the beginning. And I tried to pay attention too. I doubled down. I stared. I was like, I'm gonna understand this shit at some point.
Nope.
Didn't
not
happen.
Even with subtitles on.
Nope. Never explained it.
You could, and you, like I said, you've read the manga and all that stuff, so you have an idea of the backstory. I had just rented that video when it came out, and I was like, I was fucking lost, but it carries you through because at least it's visually interesting. We were talking about that earlier with the movie, but this movie at least will keep, because it's a good looking movie. It reminds me in a sense of the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie, in that they were trying something on an obvious limited budget. And the strange thing is, Fist of the North Star has a lot more technical skill behind it, but the Punisher is a lot easier of a watch and a more complete movie, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say about this. I'm reading now. This says that it's not a direct adaptation of the manga, but instead tells an alternate story that rearranges characters and plot elements from the manga's first 72 chapters.
Well, that's a great fucking idea.
I don't know what that
Let's
means.
Go ahead and
I never read the manga either, but there was an animated TV series that was on like the same time as this came out. I didn't see this movie until much later, but I don't know. I hung out with people who liked, I don't know, anime. Obviously, I mean, this movie's way before this came out in like 86 or something. So it's like well before I would have never seen this in the 80s.
You talking about the movie or the anime?
The movie.
The movie came out in 95.
Did it?
Oh, yeah. For sure. Oh, yeah. Gary Daniels was still fighting in the 80s. So he was doing movies in the 90s.
I was looking at something else.
95 or 96, the Tony Randall directed one came out. Yeah. I don't understand it. I finally caught up with you've seen Sniper, right? The Tom Berenger movie?
Yeah, Sniper.
Sniper's one of those movies that for some reason I never saw when I was younger, but everybody I knew saw it. You know what I mean? It was like, and over the years, I was like, I got to watch that. And I just never did. And I finally got around to watching it last year, and it's pretty fucking good, to be honest with you. I don't know why I was surprised by that, because people were telling me for the last 30 years that it was pretty good, but it inspired me to watch Sniper 2. Have you seen Sniper 2?
No, I have not. I didn't like Sniper.
Really? You didn't care for the first Sniper?
I don't like a lot of Tom Berenger stuff. I really don't like Tom Berenger.
He's an acquired taste for sure, and a little bit goes a long way. I haven't
seen. Maybe I should see the Sniper sequels. I believe there's more. There's a couple of them because I don't like The Substitute. Love the sequels.
But is that because Treat Williams? Or is that
I love Treat Williams, yeah, of course. But I don't really like Tom Berenger, even in the first one. It's okay. That was not bad or whatever, but I don't know. Treat Williams is so much better. I checked out
Sniper 2. Fucking Bokeem Woodbine they team him up with. And to be honest with you, I
they got like Bokeem?
They got Bokeem in part 2.
Fuck.
And it's directed by Craig R. Baxley, who's done, some great B movies like I Come in Peace and things like that. Action Jackson. And honestly, I think Sniper 2 for me, who didn't grow up loving Sniper 1, I think it's just as good as Sniper 1 was, maybe even more enjoyable in the sense that it's a pretty good little action B movie. And this is back in 2002 when they made Sniper 2. So it was right in the beginning of when they were starting to shift all these B movies over into Eastern Europe. But the plot actually calls for it to be in Eastern Europe, so it doesn't seem as egregious as like some of the Seagal or Van Damme ones that were there just for no reason. But I got to admit, though, I'm not the biggest Berenger fan as well, but teaming him up with Bokeem, I think he's got better chemistry with Bokeem than he did with Billy Zane. So I actually liked Sniper 2. I was kind of surprised. Spurred me on to maybe watch Sniper 3.
I like Bokeem.
Yeah, Bokeem's always solid. I mean, even when he's in a bad movie, he's watchable. All right, what else you got?
Oh Lord, what else? What did I watch here? I got I watched Rob Schneider's The Animal.
Fucking A, you did. I watched Deuce Bigelow this week too, so that's hilarious that we both watched a Schneider flick.
Yeah, I loved it. I watched this on VHS. I like The Animal. It's not a great movie, but I think this Rob Schneider movies are so easy to watch. He's just he's easy to watch, I guess. Like I loved both the Deuce Bigelow movies. I like a lot.
I haven't seen The Animal since I saw it in the theaters. Is it worth going back and looking at?
You gotta like Rob Schneider. That's all I'm gonna say, because I liked it. I enjoyed the hell out of it watching it on VHS. This is a movie that I watch normally. It's part of that whole, like, obviously I like Adam Sandler movies. Rob Schneider is like the weird, Adam Sandler version here that they tried to take off for a second. It didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. When I was watching Deuce Bigelow, I thought the same thing. Like, oh, Sandler was too busy with a different project, so they gave this one to Schneider, and he ran with it. To be honest with you,
that one happened to take off, and The Animal kind of tanked it.
I think The Animal did okay. There was the one after that really didn't do.
Well, the Deuce Bigelow sequel, I don't think did either. None of his stuff really. Bigelow. I mean, I would say The Animal tanked it. I remember a lot of bad word of mouth for The Animal.
Well, wasn't The Animal one of the first? Wasn't that where the Fake Critic came out when Sony got busted for?
It might have been
Fake Critic. I believe it was The Animal on there. I never followed Rob Schneider past Benchwarmers. I didn't see Big Stan or any
Big
of those.
Stan. I have that.
Did you watch that one?
The Chosen One, which came out not long after that. You probably never even heard of that one, did you?
Never heard of that.
Straight to video. Movie. But I'm a big Rob Schneider fan, so.
Wait a minute. I am forgetting one that I thought was fucking hilarious. The Hot Chick.
The Hot Chick's awesome. Yeah.
And that was the one after The Animal. And that was the one that I really thought that he was going to pop. And he would pop up in those Adam Sandler movies like 50 First Dates and things like that, where he would steal scenes. Yeah. I mean, just steal. Big Daddy, obviously, as well.
That's why I think he had the best. Out of that bunch, he was really the best out of that. I can't think of anybody else, aside from like Grandma's Boy.
They tried David Spade. They tried to push him
David
for a
Spade's
while with Dickie Roberts and things like that.
Well, I mean, once you lost Farley, it was, I don't know, it was almost too sad.
The one that I think that was the most overlooked out of this entire group of movies, this Happy Madison kind of production company, was Bucky Larson.
No, Grandma's Boy.
Grandma's Boy is a fucking class. How is that overlooked, though? I mean, everybody loves Grandma's Boy, right?
Because nobody even knows about Grandma's Boy. Nobody even knew about it when it came out.
Are you fucking serious?
I had to tell
that
people
movie was. We saw it in
push
theaters.
That on people. I know.
Do you and I go see it in theaters?
I don't know. Maybe
I saw it.
Great movie.
Maybe
but I don't know.
Oh,
that was at a point. I think that was at a down point in comedy right there, where people just weren't watching it.
Well, I think that if it wasn't, if it didn't star the top three guys, Will Ferrell, Sandler, or Carey, you know what I mean? Nobody was going to go check it out. And if it had anybody else, it's almost like when they did Down Periscope in the 90s or McHale's Navy. You know what I mean? They would try things, but if it didn't have the big guys in it, they were just overlooked, even though they had fucking laughs in it. So, The Chosen One, you're right. The 2010, my God, you did follow Schneider down the rabbit hole, didn't you? My God. But yeah, Sandler, Sandler even himself has stumbled in the last couple of years in this teaser for Happy Gilmore.
I mean, around this time you had like Little Nicky coming out, and
Eight
stuff
Crazy
like
Nights.
that, which was a bit of a downer for him, right?
Well, even Mr. Deeds, which made a ton of money, I thought was just fucking
and
awful.
that one as well. But that one has a really bad reputation, right? It was like around this time, all these guys were kind of starting to tank, and you started to get a bit of a crossover, like you mentioned, Will Ferrell and stuff. And that's true. These guys kind of dipped out of the 2000s there.
Well, and you start getting the rise of the Freaks and Geeks generation, the Judd Apatow guys. Yeah. So the comedy changed in a bit. But, all right, what else? What have I seen lately? Let me go here. Oh, I got one for you. Sea of Love. Let's talk about Sea of Love. You said something very interesting to me.
That I don't
will
like.
you please repeat that?
I mean, you know what it is.
Tell it. Don't be so sheepish. Tell everybody.
Look,
Trevor hates Italians.
Yeah, I don't like Al Pacino.
Interesting.
I mean,
so
I just
sea
don't
of
really
Love.
like Al Pacino in any of the movies that he's in. Obviously, like I love Heat. Obviously, there are exceptions to the rule, but if it's just like a run of the mill Al Pacino movie, I'm kind of out. Like I don't like it.
Now, is it the mannered acting?
Yeah,
is it,
I don't like
what
him.
is it?
I don't like his screen presence. I don't know why. I just don't like him.
It's too theatrical?
In a way, does he not overact?
Oh, fucking, even in Sea of Love, he's half doing
Thank you.
the screaming sentimental woman thing.
Yeah, the hoo-ha type shit. This is like
a lot of that
This
shit.
is that era, right? So
I think Sea of Love, if you haven't seen it in a long time, is a fantastic little Fatal Attraction type thriller there. And one of the main reasons that this movie works so well is that, well, one, Ellen Barkin looks fantastic in this movie. She almost looks like a young Blake Lively in this movie. It's unbelievable. Maybe she's peaking here. But John Goodman as the sidekick, I was telling you, I think it should be mandatory during this era that John Goodman was cast as every sidekick officer. He is so good in these little roles where he would come on and basically steal the show. I mean, he did it for decades, even up to Flight with Denzel Washington in 2012. But I mean, every fucking time he'd appear in one of these movies, and he would just command the screen. And to take it over from Pacino, who was wildly overacting in some scenes, is pretty impressive. So, but if you haven't seen Sea of Love in a long time, Michael Rooker is in it. Really early performance from him, coming off of Henry's Portrait of a Serial Killer, and once again, Ellen Barkin looking fantastic. So yeah, Sea of Love, available on Netflix currently. Hadn't seen that in a long time.
I don't know. No.
Not going to do it?
No. I think I'm okay.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I got other stuff to watch.
Didn't think so.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right, give me one more that you've seen.
I watched Chasing Amy. Let's do that one.
Ooh.
Because that's better than Stealing Harvard.
Well, it is all around, but I mean, there's a place for Stealing Harvard.
Well, I wanted to watch a little Tom Green on the side there, but anyhow, yeah, I saw Chasing Amy. I hadn't seen that in a long time. This movie is like short movies in one. It's like every sequence, every scene is its own movie in this. It's really
like vignettes,
incredible,
right?
Yeah, and every single one of them is just intriguing and like enthralling, and you're just like in there, like, oh my god. And the acting, I mean, Ben Affleck and Joy Lauren Adams in this are out of this world, especially when together.
Jason Lee.
Jason Lee's great too, yeah, of course. But there's some moments, some heated, relationship moments that are just great in this, and the dialogue. This is like, obviously, Kevin Smith at his best.
It's, to me, I hate to say the closest he got, but it's almost Woody Allen inspired.
Very
in a
much,
sense.
yeah.
Like
this is very
the
indie
writing
film.
in the logical arguments that his characters are having here. It doesn't, as much as everybody sounds like Kevin Smith in a Kevin Smith movie, this is the movie where I feel the least like everybody sounds like Kevin Smith in his movies, where there are some defining character traits per person that aren't just arbitrarily thrown on after the fact there. This guy likes comics, or this guy does, it feels like this was his, at the time, his most mature work for sure, especially coming off of Mallrats, which is looked upon fondly now, but at the time was a fucking nightmare for him, was basically tanked his career, right? This is what he went back to his indie roots.
Right. I mean, he basically said, with Chasing Amy, back to his roots. He didn't want the burden, right, of the studio anymore. Wanted to go back and kind of recreate what he was able to do with Clerks and make a movie with his friends again. And good on him. I mean, it's what he does now, I guess. So good on him for making that choice, because it was the right one. This movie's, it's freaking amazing. When he writes and does a Kevin Smith movie, like, I don't know. Obviously, I don't really follow him that much anymore, but he always felt like he never really embraced like what he was good at, or didn't allow, himself to take the accolades for what he's done. He was always trying to do something else, or was looking at what other people were doing that were perhaps a little more popular in the mainstream than him, and wanting to do that, which is unfortunate, because I wish he had I still wish he could was doing stuff like this. I
think it's his best movie.
It might be. It was really mind-blowing to have gone back and watched. I haven't seen it in a long time. I remember liking it, of course, but I haven't seen it in so long. And yeah, this is it's one of those movies where you're like, oh my God, this is why I like movies.
This is a theory also that I have about Chasing Amy. It's the last Kevin Smith movie, because after this you get Dogma, which is a stretch. Then you get Jersey Girl, which he's trying.
I would say Clerks 2 is a very Kevin Smith movie.
Okay, I forgot about Clerks 2. You're right. No, you're right.
But you're right about him. But this is what I'm saying, right? I mean, you're right, because it goes up to Zack and Miri, right? Which is clearly like they all have Kevin Smith in them, but none of those are really fully Kevin Smith movies. There's something else. Like, he's trying to be bigger than he needs to be.
When you were talking earlier about him trying to emulate this guy, or trying to catch this fad to hit the $100 million box office gross that was never going to come. And this, I don't know, Chasing Amy was, at the time, when I first saw it, I was probably too young to fully appreciate it. I liked it well enough. And then when I revisited it, less than 10 years ago, probably 7 or 8 years ago, it stuck with me. It didn't. I thought it was peripherally funny when I was younger, but this time was. I don't know. I guess I had seen a lot of badly written romantic comedies at the time and dramas, and I was thinking, like, this is Chasing Amy could be released today with a few tweaks, and I think it would even do better than it did in its initial run.
Possibly. I mean, if you had the right cast for it, yeah, absolutely. I think so. It's very down to earth, it's very honest, which is something lacking in a lot of movies today. All movies today try to, as we said earlier, as you're talking about Anora, it sounds like everything tries to elevate itself to a degree that it's just unnecessary for whatever the hell it actually is. Stop doing that. Just make the movie about the moment, stay in that moment, build it out. It doesn't have to have some wild, like, high level, insane meaning to it. That's not necessary, right? We can all relate to basic movies and basic themes and things. That's what we relate to best, right? It's better to do that and build a movie around that than to say, here's some very specific problem and I'm going to build a movie around that. It doesn't work.
Also, Affleck's very good in that movie.
He's great. He's good in this. This is a very indie movie, and so the acting in this feels very indie. I'll say that. I think the acting's great, but it does feel like
it's 90s indie, bro.
It is. It does feel like if you were on a real set, you probably would have done a couple more takes.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot of film to burn.
There is a lot of that, but again, that's very honest. That makes it feel a little bit more off the cuff and a little bit more. I don't want to say violent, but it feels like, especially when they're fighting and stuff, it feels like it could go like they get very heated and it feels very real.
Chasing Amy has a little bit of that same, like, you're dropping in on something that Swingers had. Like, these are it's an existing situation. You're dropping in on it. It's already taking place, and this is a peek inside of what's happening here. And because of that indie vibe as well, that facilitates that. Because I went back and watched Swingers recently. Have you seen that in the last couple of years?
I have, yeah. That's a great movie.
It fucking holds up. I think it's actually like Chasing Amy. I enjoy it more today, and I thought it was hilarious when I was a teenager. Way, way more enjoyable today. And it's amazing how young those guys look.
I know.
They looked old. They were older than me at the time. They still are, but they looked so much older than me. And I look at them now and I go, fuck, those were young, good-looking cats too. Vince Vaughn in his day, and even Jon Favreau when he was a skinnier guy. Just
money, baby.
Good-looking cats, and it's unbelievable. And what a cast that movie had too.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I know. And especially watching old movies like that is fun because you're like, oh, these guys, went on to do all this other stuff, and here they are, and still killing it. But it is weird.
Once again, I want to give my plug out there, my yearly plug to Christmas in Connecticut. Why have we not made this a yearly staple in everyone's fucking Christmas viewing? It's It's Ben Affleck. What's his name? Vince Vaughn.
What?
Is Christmas in Connecticut? But what the fuck is the name of the Justin Long movie?
Oh God, what is that? The Cliftons? What the fuck are they?
Is it not Christmas in Connecticut?
No.
How the fuck?
It's their name. I agree with you. That's a perfect fucking.
If you have
movie.
not seen
Christmas
it, you
with the
must
Campbells.
watch it. Christmas with the Campbells. Don't watch Christmas in Connecticut. I think that's a movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger directed with Diane Cannon. Now that I think about it, and fucking Chris Christopherson. Do not watch that. Watch Christmas with the Campbells, the Vince Vaughn written Christmas film. It really is. Let's talk about some trailers because we have a slew of them tonight. And the first one I want to discuss with you right off the bat is Jurassic Park Rebirth. You are a bigger Jurassic Park fan than myself. Out of the 6 films, I've liked 3 of them over the last 30 years.
Oh, well,
so
I'm batting 4, so...
Okay, so you like one more than I do. So
I mean,
I'm going to let you take the lead on this one.
I don't understand
Here's my question. Why is this movie being made, and why should we see it? Did you find something to answer either of those questions in this trailer?
No, this just looks like a pretty standard Jurassic World movie. Actually, not even a world. I don't even know what this is. We put ourselves in a place we don't belong. That's the fucking theme of this movie, apparently. They think that's what Jurassic Park was all about. I don't know. I don't understand it. How is it a rebirth is my big question here. And it's just literally the same thing. And this is supposed to be the like testing island or something where they made these crazy dinosaurs and stuff. So at the same time that Jurassic Park's happening, they had these other crazy fucking dinosaurs on this other island. I mean, why are we rewriting history in a way? Well, do you need more than just dinosaurs? Do we really need that? Do you need to one up yourself every single time? Like, at what point did we find out they created fire-breathing dragons? At what point did we get there?
I think 2 sequels from now.
It's ridiculous, right? This is
the third
too
one of
much.
this trilogy.
And I don't know. I don't like the way these are getting shot recently. Like lately, it used to be that the people would, I don't know, things felt more normal. I felt like you could do this. This feels like a superhero movie. People are flying all around. They're doing all this shit. I don't know. I'll say this as well. Why? What's the deal with the trailer? The beginning of it. Why do they give away the tail thing?
Yeah.
Why give that away in the trailer? That looked like a good gag.
Because the whole thing here is all this is Universal running out of franchises to exploit, right? Because the Fast and Furious, they can only do so much with. It's slow moving at this point. They don't have a superhero franchise. What other IP can they put out there? So they just keep milking this fucking Jurassic World, Jurassic Park. Shouldn't this be Jurassic Park
from all
Rebirth,
the dinosaurs?
Not Jurassic World?
Why are we going to extract DNA from some fucking animals they don't already have it? They had it in a computer. You don't have it. You can't ask them for it. You got to go get it. I don't, I'm whatever, I guess. Dinosaurs, they're going to attack people. I mean, it'll probably be fine. But at this point, I don't add anything. After Jurassic World, there's nothing to me. It's all dead to me. I don't care anymore.
Well, also, Chris Pratt and in Dallas, Bryce Dallas Howard were likable, and they were your way into the franchise again. And here, I'm not seeing anybody that I'm going to get behind.
No, this is
Jurassic
Jurassic
Park
Park 3.
by a dinosaur.
It feels like a standalone thing. It's Jurassic Park 3, which would be fine, but I don't know why it has to be. I just don't understand the one-upping and all the weirdness. I thought Jurassic World did a pretty good job of taking Jurassic Park and expanding on it, and in that very Spielberg-y way. It felt like a proper redo of Jurassic Park. It really did, like an updated version of that, and that was great. And then the sequel came around, and the sequel was just like,
dull.
Climate change. What are we going to do with these dinosaurs? Don't kill. Like, it's our fault they bring them back. Should we set them free? It's just like, I don't care, guys. I don't care. Dinosaurs, they run amok and they kill people. I guess that's what this is, but it just feels, I'm just over the DNA stuff at this point. The movie, we already did this in the first movie. You can't just keep making monster extra, like, you can't just keep making up dinosaurs, fake dinosaurs. I'm over it.
I think that this looks very underwhelming. All right, let's move on and talk about the Fantastic Four, the first steps. Marvel's long-awaited Fantastic Four entry, even though we've had 3 previous cinematic entries dating back to
one
2005.
Not released.
So that would be the fourth
3,
one,
right?
We had 2. We had the
right, but those
2005.
were 2 of the same, right? Two.
Right.
One, the sequel was the same. So there's been 4 or 3 different teams,
iterations.
Or iterations. There, that's a better word, yeah.
And this one is set in the 1960s, and I like the idea of setting it in its time or place, but this trailer is off. Something seems off here.
How many
right?
times? Well, first of all, this casting sucks.
Pedro Pascal is 100% miscast.
I don't like any of these
outdone
people.
By Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm.
I see all these people, and I just think, this is underwhelming as fuck as far as casting goes, but I've seen, this is the 3rd time you're telling this same damn story.
No, this is different, Trevor. This is in the space age.
It's the fucking
era.
same story.
I know. It's ridiculous.
I'm just not going to get psyched about this this time around. It's not going to happen. I didn't get psyched about it last time either. I thought they hit it perfectly with the Alba and the Chris Evans.
So did I. I don't know why those are so.
The guy that played Reed Richards in the first one is fucking excellently casted. What is his name?
Ian.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's
Ian Goff or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that casting was
fantastic.
fucking great. And the Shield, as the thing.
Yeah, Chickless as the rock guy.
So good. So the Silver Surfer one that they made, okay, it was a bit of a downer and all that, but I still felt that they cut that too short. They should have tried for a 3rd movie, because that was the best I think they're ever going to get. As far as this goes, this is, and titling it First Steps, Jurassic Park Rebirth, the Fantastic Four, First Steps. Stop it. I swear to God, just please stop. I can't take any more of this fucking titling. Who's going to go back and watch these fucking movies titled like this? I don't want this shit on my shelf titled like this. I don't want it. I'm serious. This is a fucking joke at this point. I mean, it feels like they're like trying to pull the wool over my eyes. Like, this is the first one. It's the first steps. You never saw these steps before. These are the first ones. Like, yeah, the fuck.
You hear that, Marvel? Get your shit together. You're fucking up Trevor's DVD collection there.
No, they're not, because I don't even have hardly any of the Marvel movies. I don't. It's too much. Honestly, this was
the idea. In a sense, this is what Tarantino was pitching for Casino Royale when he was pitching the idea, is that you take Bond and you give him a proper 1960s setting. You take it back to the era when this first came out. But is there really a reason other than they've exhausted every other angle to set this in 1960? Because they're going to advance this into current times at some point. So this is just going to be a throwaway.
You can't
starter piece.
If the only way to tell the Fantastic Four is to tell the origin story, you're fucked, right? Like, there's no way. This is a horrible entry into this world again. There has to be some other angle that they could have taken with this. This is not. It's just not good, And I love the Fantastic Four. I like this origin story. I like the whole thing where they're like, before the thing was a rock, before you were invisible and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, I I get it. I like the Fantastic Four, but how many times? Like, what happens when you reboot this again? What do you do? Are you kidding me?
I guess you go younger. You put fucking teens in there. I don't know, because this cast, like I said, who decided that Pedro Pascal needs to be in every third movie? I really don't understand.
I don't know.
This has been going on for like a
he
decade
has
now,
a
too.
very peculiar look, and it just doesn't work for a lot of things. It does for some stuff, but to put him in everything, it just it's nah.
I mean, I loved him in the Nicolas Cage movie. I thought he was fantastic in that. And outside of a couple other projects, I just didn't. I didn't appreciate him in Gladiator. I don't appreciate him in this.
I didn't appreciate that entire movie. So
yeah.
Okay,
let's talk about Sinners, because this is one I want to dive into with you. This is Ryan B.
I'm
Coogler.
interested in your thoughts on this, because this is your guy, right?
I like Coogler.
Yeah.
He's a Bay Area guy. He did Creed. I like Michael B. Jordan. But this looks to me like a cross between. I mean, obviously it's like Robert Johnson inspired,
From
right?
the trailer,
the
what is
Devil
this
Came
about?
Down to Georgia. It looks like Crossroads. Remember this? The 1986 movie with Ralph Macchio, where he had to play the devil to save his life on the guitar. It reminds me of that mixed with Rosewood, the John Singleton movie about racism in the South.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what
is this?
Or is it?
Well, it's a vampire movie, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
Or is it? I don't know.
This is an awful trailer. I'm just gonna say that right now. I don't understand what this again. Talk about trying to heighten something or raise it up for no reason whatsoever. This is a horror movie. What are we doing?
The trailer is so awkward, Trevor, that I think this might be a brilliant movie that they just don't know how to cut.
It could be a really good movie, but the trailer's awful, and I don't know. I have a feeling it's not a very good movie, because you have Ryan Coogler here, who's going to try to, I think, elevate this. You have Michael B. Jordan playing dual roles, so he's the good guy and the bad guy. I mean, this just, and when he's knocking on the door, and they have that shot up from him as he's hanging his head against the door, no.
Kubrickian
Just
type
no,
shot.
thank you. I don't know. I feel I just don't understand this. I watched this movie and I thought, something comparable that I would go back and watch. And I watched the trailer for 30 Days of Night. Not a great movie, mind you, but
I think it is.
That trailer, it's really not that great. Oh, it's a fine movie. I like the movie. Believe me. I mean, the sequel's debatable whether that's good or not, but that's fine too. It's straight to video. But that trailer is straightforward. You know exactly what that is from the beginning. You know everything. That's okay. I get what that movie is. If you watched half of Sinners, you would have absolutely no fucking idea. It makes no sense. It's an awful trailer.
The trailer looks to me like Coogler is attempting to ape Jordan Peele. That's what this looks like to me when I watch
what I'm
this
talking
trailer.
about. Elevated nonsense, right? Like this is this is not artistic. It is a vampire movie about two brothers who are musicians or whatever, and they make deals with the devil or what. I guess I don't even know if that's true. I don't understand.
Or
that
they
part
conjure
at all.
the devil with their music. Something.
Do they though, or
did
or is that just part of some weird fucking thing? I don't understand it all. And do the vampires then come back to collect for what? What did they do? The trailer, it literally sets nothing up and explains nothing. It just exists and is like, look at me, we're very artistic, and there's going to be blood, and it's going to be, things are going to be coming to get people.
Well, we'll know soon enough, but I got a feeling that this movie is at least 2.5 hours long. This looks like a long fucking movie. I don't know why I get that vibe, but it
doesn't say how long.
Does it say already? Yet. No, IMDb doesn't say.
No, it doesn't say yet. So
I bet you this fucker's at least 2:30. At least. But a good movie is never long enough, and a bad one is too long.
This is an IMAX movie?
Well, isn't everything now? I mean, fucking The Brutalist is an IMAX movie.
This had a $90 million budget?
I thought this was the Eye of Legend sequel because they had a $90 million budget.
What?
So they're expecting a lot. Now, if you had a $90 million budget attached to this and it was worth a shit, don't you think they would be pushing this into summer and not an Easter release? So, I don't know. It's a little odd that they're releasing it in the first quarter. Well, that's going to wrap up our show for this evening. We want to thank you guys for always joining us on the Movie Mavericks podcast. Check us out on Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get these podcasts. Please rate, review, like the show, share it. It helps us tremendously. We want to thank you all for your continual listenership. Speaking for Trevor Anderson, I am Jason Rugard, and we are the Movie Mavericks.
Oh my, another magnificent episode has come to an end. If you're craving more, set your destination to MovieMavericks.com, Warp 9. Engage!